The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days, turning the cracked sidewalks of downtown Memphis into a patchwork of puddles that reflected nothing but gray sky and broken dreams. Marcus Chen pulled his coat tighter, head down against the cold November wind, his mind consumed by the numbers that refused to add up. 3 months behind on his mother's medical bills. The eviction notice. The job interview tomorrow that represented his last real shot at keeping everything from completely falling apart. He wasn't looking for anyone to save. He could barely save himself. That's when he heard the voice, small, trembling, barely audible above the rain drumming on storefronts and abandoned cardboard boxes. "Excuse me, sir." Marcus almost kept walking. In a city like this, you learn to keep your head down, your earbuds in, your heart carefully locked away behind walls built from too many disappointments and too many people with their hands out. But something in that voice, the particular quality of its desperation, perhaps, or maybe just the exhaustion in Marcus's own soul that made him too tired to maintain his defenses, made him stop. He turned. The boy couldn't have been more than 7 years old. His clothes hung on his thin frame like they'd been made for someone else, someone bigger, someone who'd had the luxury of regular meals. His face was smudged with dirt, and his eyes, those eyes carried a weariness that no child should ever know. Behind him, partially hidden in the doorway of a closed laundromat, Marcus could see another figure. A girl, maybe 9 or 10, holding what looked like a bundle of clothes but might have been a younger sibling. "We haven't eaten in 2 days, the boy said, and Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. He thought of the $43 in his wallet. $43 that needed to stretch until Friday, when his last freelance payment would hopefully, finally clear. $43 that represented the gas to get to tomorrow's interview, the phone bill that would keep his number active for callbacks, maybe, if he was lucky, a cheap dinner for himself before the interview so he wouldn't look as desperate as he felt. "Where are your parents?" Marcus heard himself ask, already knowing he wasn't going to like the answer. The boy's jaw tightened, a gesture that reminded Marcus of himself in the mirror every morning, forcing strength he didn't feel. "Dad left 2 years ago. Mom's, she's at the shelter, but they wouldn't let us stay. Said we had to be with her, but she couldn't, she had to." His voice trailed off, protecting whatever complicated truth lay beneath those words. Marcus looked down the street. The McDonald's sign glowed in the rain like a beacon. Or a test. Every practical voice in his head screamed at him to walk away. "You can't save everyone," those voices said. "You're barely surviving yourself. One good deed won't change their lives, but it could ruin yours. Tomorrow matters more than today. Your mother needs you. Your future needs you." But Marcus was already moving toward them, those $43 burning in his pocket like an accusation. "Come on," he said. "Let's get you something to eat." The girl emerged from the doorway, and Marcus saw he'd been right. She was carrying a toddler, maybe 2 years old, sleeping despite the cold and hunger. 3 kids. Alone. For 2 days. Inside the McDonald's, the fluorescent lights were almost offensive in their brightness, revealing just how bad things were. The children's faces were hollow, their movements slow and careful, like people trying to make their bodies use as little energy as possible. Marcus ordered without thinking about the cost. Burgers, fries, chicken nuggets, chocolate milk, apple slices. The number on the register made his stomach clench, $38, but he handed over the bills without hesitation. They ate like they were afraid the food would disappear if they didn't hurry. The little one woke up and cried at the sight of the chicken nuggets, reaching with hands that trembled. Marcus had to look away, his vision blurring with tears he couldn't afford to shed. "What's your name?" he asked the boy. "James. That's my sister Rachel, and the baby is Emma. I'm Marcus." He pushed his own coffee across the table, suddenly unable to stomach it. "James, I need you to tell me the truth. Where is your mother really?" The boy's face crumpled, and for the first time, Marcus saw past the forced maturity to the terrified child underneath. "She went to get help. She said she'd be back, but that was yesterday morning. She told us to wait in the laundromat doorway, that she'd be back before dark, but she never came." Rachel spoke for the first time, her voice rough from crying or cold or both. "Mom wouldn't just leave us. Something happened. She wouldn't just leave us." Marcus felt his phone buzz in his pocket. Probably a reminder about his student loan payment. Or another creditor. The interview tomorrow suddenly felt very far away and very unimportant. He made a decision that would probably cost him everything. "Let's find her," he said. The next 3 hours were a blur of shelters, hospitals, and police stations. Marcus used his last $5 for bus fare, carrying Emma while James and Rachel clung to his coat. At each location, he felt his chances for tomorrow slipping away. It was getting late, he should be preparing, resting, getting his suit pressed. Instead, he was chasing a stranger's mother through a system designed to lose people like her. At the fourth shelter, they found her. She was in the medical bay, weak from pneumonia, and when she saw her children, the sound that came from her throat was something between a sob and a prayer. The shelter director explained that she'd collapsed the day before, had been too sick to even tell them about her children. They'd had no way to find them. Marcus watched the reunion, feeling something shift in his chest. The weight of his own problems didn't disappear, they were still there, still crushing, but somehow they felt different. Smaller, maybe. Or just clearer. As he turned to leave, James grabbed his hand. "Thank you," the boy said, and those two words carried the weight of everything Marcus had forgotten about being human. Outside, the rain had finally stopped. Marcus checked his phone. 11 p.m. His interview was in 9 hours, and he had $0 in his account. He'd probably blown his last chance at salvation for 3 kids he'd never see again. But as he walked home through puddles that now reflected stars, Marcus found himself smiling. Because sometimes being broken may be foolish was better than being safe and certainly heartless. His phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Is this Marcus Chen? This is Robert Williams from Apex Solutions. I know it's late, but I just got your portfolio, and I had to call. Any chance you could come in tonight instead of tomorrow? Our lead designer just quit, and I think you might be exactly what we need." Marcus laughed, actually laughed, because the universe had a twisted sense of timing. Sometimes you don't walk away. And sometimes, when you choose humanity over practicality, life decides to meet you halfway. Not always. Not even usually. But sometimes that's enough to keep believing in people, in kindness, in the small moments when strangers become saviors and $43 becomes everything.